continuing our discussion of Sri Vishnu Sahasranam with name 937, Gambhir Atma. Those who know Indian languages know this word Gambhir. It's the same meaning as Gambhir, which means deep, profound, and Atma in this context means the very self, so the very being. So the very being, the very nature of the Supreme Lord is to be deep and profound. He's not a lightweight. Even to understand an ordinary human being's psychology is not easy. No one can fully understand anyone else. Even the person himself can't understand his own psychology very well, probably less than others. What to speak of the Supreme Lord? His very being is deep and profound. And this is one of those names which, even though it's coming toward the end of Vishnu Sahasranam, it's good to keep in mind when going through the whole of Vishnu Sahasranama, because it pertains to every name of his. Every name of his is in relation to his qualities, his characteristics, and all of his qualities and characteristics are deep, profound, unfathomable. That is a characteristic of God. We can't understand everything about him. He's far more deep than we can even begin to understand. And some people who consider themselves rational, but actually it's quite irrational, think that, well, there can't be any such being. He doesn't fit within our rationality. The last name So some people conclude that there can't be such a person or such a being with so deep, can't be any person who's much better than us. But if at all we are to accept the reality, which we should, of God, and of course anyone who's listening to this series of talks is presumed that they do accept the reality of God, and particularly of Vishnu, Krishna being God, then one of the defining characteristics, maybe the defining characteristic, is that he's achintya. He's inconceivable. We have that name in Vishnu Sahasranama. Achintya. He's beyond the ability to fathom by the frail instrument of our mind. You know this word fathom? What it means, what it's derived from, is that nowadays they probably do it by more sophisticated instruments, but it used to be that there would be, you'd have string with a weight on the end, and if you want to find the depth of water, say in a pond, at any particular place in the pond, you let down it's called a fathom gauge. You let it down, and when you feel it's hit the bottom, and the string is taut, but not too taut, just it's neither relaxed. Yeah, it's the weight has hit the bottom. You can feel it, and the string is straight. Then you see the point at which the string is on the surface, and then you pull it up. You measure the distance from the weight to the point at which the string was on the surface, and then you can find the depth. So this is a method to find the depth. So by using our intelligence, it's actually God-given intelligence, we should remember that, a little practical application, we can measure so many different things. Height, weight, depth, distance, and so on. But Bhagavan, his nature is so deep that we cannot find the limit of it. There's a place, Chakratirtha at Naimisharanya, currently in Uttar Pradesh. It's known as Uttar Pradesh. It's part of ancient Bharata. So that Chakratirtha is a round, you can get from the idea chakra, a round body of water. The depth of it has not been fathomed. The British, when they heard this, they were skeptical, as they tend to be. The great Western scientific mind does not accept that there can be anything that they cannot measure. Man is the measure of all things, said one of the ancient Greek philosophers, whose name I can't remember, Parmenides. So they tried, they got their string or whatever it was, a chain, put a weight on it and went down and down and down and down and down, and they couldn't find the bottom. They gave up. What can we with our tiny little minds understand about the Supreme Personality of Godhead? We're so limited in our intelligence. He's beyond the understanding of even Brahma, Shiva and Indra. Brahma, Shiva and Indra and all the great demigods, they are beyond the understanding of we tiny little beings on this little earth. We can't see them. We have to accept their existence by accepting the descriptions of Shastra. We can't see them with our physical eyes. But they can't see or understand Krishna. Sometimes they see him, but they can't see him in this, they can't see him like you can see the sky or you can see the trees. You can't see. Even if we see Krishna, we can't understand him unless our eyes are anointed with the salve of love. Then we can see him. Even then, to understand him is something else. Brahma can know the things that he created, but even then he can't have full knowledge of everything he created. But Brahma's knowledge and his intelligence is so much greater than ours, us on this tiny little planet with tiny little intelligence, in living very short lives in Kali Yuga. We can't imagine how intelligent and how knowledgeable Brahma is, but he can't understand things that existed before he was created. We think that, well, nothing existed before Brahma, but yes, Vishnu existed. His knowledge, Brahma's knowledge of the one who is the ultimate creator of everything, including Brahma himself, is not within his comprehension. Therefore, Brahma himself says, being bewildered in his ability to try to understand Krishna. He thought he could understand Krishna, but later he said, Atapi te deva padambuja dvaya prasada leshanu grahita evahi janati tatvang bhagavang mahim no nachanya ekopi chiring vichinvan. He said that unless one is speaking to Krishna, unless one is favored with a tiny little bit of your mercy, he cannot begin to understand your glories, even if he has very, very long life. Can an infant understand an Einstein? Can he even recognize an Einstein? If an infant sees physics paper written by Einstein with all symbols on it, I can't understand it. What to speak of an infant? I mean, he may say, well, I'm promoting myself as being something I can't understand, as if I'm a very learned person. Well, I'm more learned than the average infant. Can someone, little child, being taught painfully, slowly, 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, can you suddenly jump him up to the mathematics class to understand calculus? We have our limits. Those limits can be expanded. We have ability to, we can expand that, but only up to a certain level. The world's fastest runner can maybe run 100 meters in, I don't know what it is. I checked it out at one point. Let's take it, the 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister in the 1950s was the first man to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. But so many others have done so since then. Can anyone run a mile in 20 seconds? You can you can make the record, you can chip away at the record so that you knock some seconds or less than seconds off the world record for running a mile or swimming a kilometer or swimming 20 kilometers or whatever. But you can't ever expect that a human's going to swim 20 kilometers in a minute. We have our limits. So to understand God, His knowledge and depth of understanding is far more than ours. And we're never going to come to the stage when we can fully understand Him. But the great thing is, it's not all about understanding Him. It's about loving Him. Still, it's important to understand, and therefore the great Acharya Bhishma has included in the Vishnu Sahasranam. And of course, the Vishnu Sahasranam predated Bhishma speaking it. So Vishnu himself ultimately is the author of Vishnu Sahasranam, and he thinks it's important for us to understand that he is Gabhir Atma. We should not approach him thinking that, Krishna, 2 hands, he has a father and mother, and okay, he's a little bit more than me. We should understand that he's far beyond our understanding. If we understand that, we've understood a lot about him and about ourselves. We need to understand this. Generally, persons who are dedicated to Vedic knowledge in the impersonal school, they put much emphasis on Brahma Vidya, as found in the Upanishads, knowledge of Brahman. They put great stress on that. But even persons who have attained Brahma Vidya in the matter of understanding that the Supreme is one, subtle, the basis of everything, this is Brahma, But they don't understand, even the impersonalists say they may have Brahma Vidya, but they don't even understand that the ultimate limit of Brahma Vidya is to understand Krishna. The nectar of devotion, Srila Prabhupada's rendition of Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, has a section on Krishna, qualities of Sri Krishna, one of them being that he is grave. So I'll read from that. What does it mean to be grave when we say the qualities of Krishna? He's grave, he's deep, he's profound, he's funny, he's merciful, he's terrible to the demons. What do all these words mean? To better understand the qualities of Krishna, or of anyone, if we go, it's good to analyze what the words mean. So Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada following him analyzes this word grave and gives some examples of how Krishna is grave. Rupa Goswami says, a person who does not express his mind to everyone, or whose mental activity and plan of action are very difficult to understand, is called grave. Now there could be many examples of this, but Rupa Goswami gives the example that after Lord Sri Krishna had been offended by Brahma, Brahma prayed to him to be excused. But in spite of his offering nice prayers to Krishna, Brahma could not understand whether Krishna was satisfied or still dissatisfied. In other words, Krishna was so grave that he did not take the prayers of Brahma very seriously. He didn't he didn't say, yes, okay, it's all right, or no, you're in trouble, I'm not going to forgive you. He just didn't say anything. He just said, okay, no, all right, go. That's all. In this regard, Baladev Vidyabhushan, who is describing the present series of names in Vishnu Sahasranam in terms of this very pastime of Brahma stealing the cowherd boys and calves and the consequences of that, Baladev Vidyabhushan gives the meaning of Gabhir Atma in relation to this pastime, his intention, what he was thinking, how he received Brahma's prayers for forgiveness. It was unfathomable. Brahma couldn't understand. That's how Baladev explains it. Continuing reading from the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami gives another instance of Krishna's gravity, and Srila Prabhupada renders it. Another instance of Krishna's gravity is found in connection with his loving affairs with Radharani. Now, we might think that, well, all this Vishnu Sahasranama, and then him being very deep and unfathomable, that's all about Vishnu, right? They're nothing to do with Krishna, especially not with Krishna in Vrindavan with Radharani. But here we have an instance of Krishna's gravity being found in connection with his loving affairs with Radharani. Srila Prabhupada continues, Nectar of Devotion. Krishna was always very silent about his loving affairs with Radharani, so much so that Baladev, Krishna's elder brother and constant companion, could not understand the transformations of Krishna on account of his gravity. So sometimes Krishna, just thinking about Radha, or from some other stimulus, udipana, would laugh or look upset. But Baladev wouldn't understand why, because Krishna wouldn't talk to him about his love for Radha. He's grave. We have in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says to Krishna, Swayam evatmanatmanang vetattvang purushottama bhuta bhavana bhutesha deva deva jagatpate. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. He's the Supreme Person. He's the origin of everything. He's the Lord of all beings. He's the God even of the various demigods. He's the Lord of the universe. And who are we? The idea is we can't know Him. How can we know Him? He alone can know Himself. And of course we have other descriptions that even Krishna cannot fully know Himself. He's so deep. You may say, well, He should know Himself because His knowledge is also deep. True, but His greatness is always expanding and His knowledge or comprehension of it is always catching up. This is all inconceivable. So, Valmiki, sage Valmiki in Ramayana describes Lord Rama as Samudra iva gambhirye, deep as the ocean. He's so great that he appears as Rama out of his love. His love is so deep. And the demigods, they know, but at the same time, they tend to think he's like a human. Even Parashurama wanted to test Lord Rama. His depth is very difficult to comprehend. Like the ocean, there are oceanographers. There are people who make maps of the ocean. There are scientists who study the ocean, but they've made so many studies, but they still have they themselves recognize they have very limited knowledge of what's going on in the ocean. Very difficult to comprehend. It's like another whole universe down there. We have some idea of what's going on this. When we say what's going on this planet, we think of the earth above the ocean, but actually most of this planet is covered, so we're told, by our scientists, and the Vedic scriptures also confirm, although the Vedic knowledge system is different, but it's the oceans, they cover more space than the land. And it's a whole other environment down there. But one great thing about the ocean, and we can say, is that the ocean is so deep that nothing, no one, no situation can disturb the ocean. We have rivers here in India in the rainy season. The rivers, they flood the land, they become very huge and powerful, and they roar their way down to the ocean, but the ocean doesn't become disturbed. The ocean accepts all the great river waters and doesn't expand. The ocean is so great, it can accept any amount of water from the rains and just remains the same. So, in the same way, Samudra iva gambhirye, deep as the ocean, unperturbed. We find that's a great characteristic of Lord Rama. We just discussed that in the name Jitamanyu, that he gets himself angry as needed for fighting and killing demons, but his nature is calm, very deep, difficult to understand. Sometimes people accuse Lord Rama of being unfair towards Sita, toward Vali, to Shurparnaka, even to Lakshman. He had to banish him ultimately. But to understand Rama, it's explained why he did all these things, but his nature is very, very deep, very difficult to understand. Deep, Gabhir Atma. Satyadeva Vashishta, as he often does, gives interpretations, taking the name differently from previous commentators. There wouldn't be that much point, I guess, if you're a big Sanskrit pundit like Satyadeva Vashishta, in giving a new unpacking of Vishnu Sahasranam unless you do it in a way different to others. So I'm not trying to do what Satyadeva Vashishta was doing. He was trying to see new perspectives by analyzing the Sanskrit on all the names in Vishnu Sahasranama. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not a Sanskrit scholar. I'm just going through the different explanations and trying to explain them with my limited ability and enjoying, you can say, and hopefully others can enjoy these qualities of the Supreme Lord. And it's purificatory and uplifting, and that's what we do. That's what we're all about, being devotees or aspiring devotees of Krishna. We like to discuss about Krishna. So, Satyadeva Vashishta, getting back to what he says, he gives a different approach altogether, taking the root gachati gamyate, means prapyate anena. That he takes it to mean he, Vishnu, is Gabhir Atma because he is the one because of whom everything is attained. Or gachanti means prapnuvanti, dhyanti prartayante va sagabhira. He who is the object of attainment, meditation, or worship is Gabhira. He is the one by whom everything is attained. Whatever we attain is by his mercy. And he is the object of attainment. And also, again, Gachati means he who makes everything move. He makes even the non-moving things move, inasmuch as plants and trees, they grow, they die, they rustle in the wind. So in this way, even the non-moving things move, and everything that moves, gachatiti jagat, the very definition of the universe, is that which moves. So everything moves because of him. This is another understanding of the name, Gabhir Atma. We've just touched a few points of the name Gabhir Atma. He's so deep and so profound. How deep can we go? We simply offer our obeisances to that Supreme Personality of Godhead and to all the devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.